I can't tell you how many people, a lot, they're still coming, 12, 15, 20, are asking for the website or the place they can go to get the petitions to move the brown doggle money, that's California high-speed rail bond money, over to water storage. We had the petitions there yesterday in Anaheim, and I guess people are still catching on to this story, and we spent so much time on it yesterday that it really got through to people that don't listen, all the way through. And they're like, well, wait a minute, I got to get involved in this.
Nobody else is covering it.
That's
if we spend 15 minutes on it once a week, it's going to take a long time before everyone is aware, and it has to be repeated over and over again. This referendum could stop and just kill high-speed rail because it cuts off the bond money that idiots here in California agreed to some years back. And then it directs that money, bond money is borrowed money, directs it to water storage. It's a fantastic idea. Yeah, and they're actively getting signatures.
That's Trump-like. Superlatives. Give me some more.
It works.
Outstanding.
It's outstanding.
It's an amazing idea.
It's tremendous. It's marvelous.
Now, look, go to the website. Go to KFIAM640.com, the John and Ken page. This is staying up there all the way through this signature gathering process. Down the right-hand side, you just scroll. You'll see the big symbol for CalWA. That's the California Water Alliance. And it has a click where you can go to the website and check out how you can sign the petition, how you can donate. For those of you listening in the car right now, you have time later, you want to do this. It's cawaterforall.com. cawaterforall.com. And the reason we're talking about this is we're going to bring you another unbelievably dumb update on the brown doggo.
Well, it looks as if the California High-Speed Rail Commission was lying and lying and lying, and now they're being forced to admit some of their lies. The LA Times had exposed some of these lies recently, and the High-Speed Rail Commission denied it falsely. They lied, and now they have to admit it's true. It looks like there's going to be at least a 3-year delay in completing the first leg of the project. A 3-year delay.
3 years. And, of course, some of this has to do with getting through the mountains here in Southern California. They really want to bring this train line from San Francisco to L.A. They got to figure out a way to get through the Tehachapi Mountains and coming on down that way through the Antelope Valley.
They don't know how to do it. It's 36 miles of tunnels, and they'd have to lay 300 miles of track, build a half a dozen stations, and install high-voltage systems. It's supposed to be completed by 2022. It cannot be. It's impossible.
Now they're telling us 2025. And what that's worth. That's silly, too.
They're making up that date as well.
Of course.
They also claim that despite all these delays and all these horrible problems, that the price tag of the system has been cut by $4 billion.
Yeah, this part got me the most. Now, this news came out last week, and I'm like, really? We just did a long story about how they have all these cost overruns. They call it their contingency plan or contingency funds.
The current, whatever they've done currently, there's been big cost overruns. How is it
that's not going to continue? Right.
How is it? And they don't even know how to get through the Tehachapi Mountains. They don't know how to do it. So if you don't know how to do it, how the hell do you know how much it's going to cost? I mean, this is such a criminal racket. And finally, this steaming load, Dan Richard, the chairman of Slow Speed Rail, he finally, in an interview, acknowledged the difficulties. Well, if we had started with all the money in the world, this program would have probably proceeded differently. If we did not have some of the requirements of the Bond Act, this program would have proceeded differently. Well, that's the whole point. The Bond Act, the referendum we voted on, had certain specifics in it. They want to violate all of them. Well, you can't. And one of the specifics is you can't use tax money, ever. No tax money, ever. They're borrowing $8 billion. They got $3 billion from the federal government. They have no private investment. Not one single person or company on the entire planet in any country wants to spend a single dime on this disaster. Can you imagine? I mean, in Silicon Valley, right, venture capitalists, they blow billions of dollars, all kinds of startup companies and tech companies and wild inventions. And they don't even care that they're blowing the money because if they get one hit out of 10, they'll make hundreds of millions of dollars. Not even those guys want to play this game. That's unbelievable. Here's Richard Little. Richard Little, policy consultant. He says they have never answered how they're going to get the money for construction. They're still trying to do magic with numbers.
They claim that they have $21 billion to build the initial system. Although the LA Times reporter has been on this since the story, Ralph Artebedian says, but every piece of that is subject to risk. Some of it's coming from the dopey greenhouse gas money. That's the fees that they levied on industries who, quote, pollute with the carbon gases. They're claiming they're going to get, well, I don't think it was that much. Now, if they got $9 billion in bonds and that $3 billion from the feds, that doesn't get to $21 billion. I don't think the greenhouse gas money's enough.
Well, here's what they want to do. They want to borrow $5 billion against greenhouse gas fees
into the future
from 2025 to 2050. What kind of a shell game is this?
This is unbelievable.
We're going to borrow money against future greenhouse gas fees that won't be paid until 2050. And even at $20 billion, that's 1/3 of their fake price and probably only 1/5 of the real price.
And it says here that investors would probably want the state to stand behind this kind of debt, which means taxpayers would pay if the greenhouse fees become less than projected.
That's against the law.
That should be against the law.
Taxpayers cannot pay a dime for any of this.
Look, I already argued that taxpayers are paying the greenhouse fees. I already thought this was illegal, that they're taking the greenhouse gas. I mean, they're levied on companies.
That should be a lawsuit right there.
That should be.
See, they're trying to call it greenhouse fees. You see how the Times goes along with the propaganda there? They're not fees, they're taxes.
Right, and they're claiming it's not levied on taxpayers. It's levied on companies that, quote, pollute. But don't you think that's passed along to us? That's a factor in our high gas prices compared to other states. You better believe it is.
They think Congress, they hope Congress would chip in another $3 billion, but future federal money is almost unattainable. Jeff Denham, the chairman of the House Rail Subcommittee, Republican, said Congress is never going to allocate more money to a project that lacks ridership numbers, speeds, private funding, and voter support. Without the billions in funding, the authorities' change in plans amounts to nothing more than wishful thinking. Quentin Kopp, former chairman of the rail agency, he used to be a chairman of high-speed rail, Quentin Kopp.
No, and now he's turned on it.
He says this new plan is no more plausible than the old one. He says it's government propaganda. It's made of whole cloth.
Is that
this is garbage and nonsense. Here's co-founder Elizabeth Alexis of a watchdog group. This plan is seen as complete desperation. This plan is dead on arrival. It doesn't work. All right, so we got to kill high-speed rail and get the money for water storage, and you got to sign that referendum.
No kidding. Go to the website, look down the right-hand side, look for the CalWA symbol, click the link. You can find out where they are circulating petitions, because if you missed yesterday's show in Anaheim, for now you're going to have to do it that way. All right, more coming up, including Hack at a Dumpster at 5:05.
Johnny Kent, KFI, Libby Dinkman, his news.